Hello. Attention and destiny. Your destiny is dictated by attention. You are free to put your attention here, there, and everywhere. Your attention is free to go here, there, and elsewhere. Right now, is your attention on me? How come your attention is on me? Because your attention went on, you had the thought come to me. So you put your attention on the device, on the iPad, on the phone, on the computer. You put your attention on that thought. Your destiny is dictated by where you put your attention. You feel like wanting a cup of tea. You put your attention on that feeling. Or the feeling moves you. But it's your attention that goes to the door, to open the door handle. Your attention goes into the kitchen, to the kettle. Your attention is always prior to your activity. Your attention is what dictates your destiny, your journey through life. I was asked to transcend myself, so my destiny wouldn't be a conditional destiny. It wouldn't be a patterned excuse me, destiny. There's the example of putting my attention on the tissue box. But a lot of what we do is habitual. We're not necessarily conscious of what we're doing. And when you live in a different disposition, you can actually witness your thoughts and feelings, but not actually grab hold of them, put your attention on them. So you might feel like having a biscuit. And you may be upstairs with that desire. And you come down the stairs, as you normally do, and you follow a particular pattern, know where the biscuits are. But what if you trip down the stairs? You don't succeed in going to the biscuit barrel, the tin. You end up in hospital. So what happened to that thought, I'd like to have a biscuit? You didn't satisfy it. But the transcending, if you had transcended that thought or feeling of wanting a biscuit and just stayed put, stayed upstairs, you wouldn't have fallen down. Isn't there a lot of blame in life, finger pointing? Had that toy not been on the stairs, you would have tripped over it. I remember an incident when I was working as a hotel porter. I loved that job in the hotel, as I have loved all my jobs. My disposition was always one of happiness and joy. And the manager asked for afternoon tea, pot of tea, etc., and maybe some biscuits. So there was I, carrying a tray to the manager's office. And to get to the manager's office, you have to go through reception. And to go through reception, you have to go through this little where they had a lifting part of the counter lifted up, and there was a little hatch, and the hatch wasn't visible because I knew where it was, but I had this tray in front of me, and I walked in front of the reception desk around the corner, not very, just about a foot or two around the corner, to the hatch, which was already open. And suddenly I trip, and the tray of tea and milk and biscuits went up into the air. And it was in those days where they had the exchange service, the telephone, the cables and all that business. How come I tripped? Someone had left a suitcase, unbeknown to me, right in front of the hatch. And my attention obviously wasn't on the floor. I knew where I was going. So that suitcase changed my destiny in that moment. Or tripping over it. I think that's a legitimate reason, the suitcase, legitimate to possibly blame or what a stupid idiot putting the suitcase there. Anyway, I kept my job. But destiny, when one is turning to God, or real God, or in my case, I turn to the spiritual master, Adidar Samraj, and in that turning, my disposition changes, if I wasn't already in that love bliss disposition, the open hand disposition. And then, you see, this disposition interferes with that disposition, the clenched fist disposition. If your attention isn't on this, but on the guru, on the spiritual master, on the divine heart. So attention gravitates away from this. This is forgotten. You forget that you wanted a biscuit. You forget about those thoughts and feelings that arise, which are habitual. And then they just fall away. There's no effort involved. There's no suppression. You're not suppressing it, just forgetting it. It's not suppression. You're not trying to push it out of the way. So in this disposition, you are living as consciousness with a capital C, rather than consciousness from this disposition with a small c. So during the next, hour or two or whatever, consider where attention goes. Consider it. And consider how putting your attention on the first birth stuff keeps you in place. It's like keeping you in your nappies, keeping you in your childish and adolescent patternings. Because most adults aren't adults. They're not mature. They haven't grown up. Growing up means growing out of the short trouser phase. Growing out of the nappy phase. Growing out of always wanting to be stimulated and consoled phase. It's an automatic, if you like, maturity. A maturity that is only God-given. Real God-given. Spirit is being born again of the Spirit. So you automatically forget yourself by putting your attention on something else. Like a mother, the baby cries in the night. The mother feels, oh. But the attention of the loving mother goes to the baby. The loving mother forgets about the fact that she hasn't had much sleep. You see, that's another consideration. But just as the professional is professional at his or her skill, and he or she doesn't want to fail producing good results because it's her profession or his profession, be it a musician, a carpenter, decorator, a chef, a cleaner, anything that has a professional attitude, a professional integrity. But parents don't realise, as another sort of story, that they too must become professional mothers, professional fathers. It's their duty to see it as a profession, not just as a way of fulfilling their desire. I noticed years ago how children stimulate the mother. The mother gets happy because the child's happy. A profession, taking on a profession means you are in some ways not attached to what you're doing. You stand apart from it. You're in charge, but you don't identify with it. I remember when I was beginning to teach in my 20s, I thought I was responsible for every single note the child played, so much so that I would be riddled with anxiety. There was no way I could teach happily if I was getting all uptight about their mistakes or failings. That's the beauty of transcending yourself. You know you are not responsible. You know that you are not attached. You become professional, no longer emotionally attached. It's a job. Mothering and fathering is a job. Parenting is a job. And it ought to be learnt. The person should be educated. And it should be a shared responsibility, rearing a child. Anyway, that could be the topic of another video, but in this video I'm trying to help you to understand that your destiny is due to where you put your attention, and it can be habitual or it can be conscious. When you're coming from the heart place, when you're coming from that desire to have a destiny that is one of happiness and love and joy, already the case, then attention is freed up from the first birth stuff of egoic, narcissistic, what I call nonsense. So I can see that the egoic destiny, my own egoic destiny, was never really fulfilled because my heart desire to live a life more and more like Jesus was interfering with this. But people who succeed at becoming doctors, their desire is one-pointed. I'm going to become a doctor, and I'm going to go right through all the various stages of becoming a doctor. And once I'm a doctor, I'll do my utmost, if they feel it's their vocation. Sorry to say, there are a lot of professions or professionals don't see it as their vocation, but those who do will take being a doctor, their profession, very responsibly. But they also know when they're not needing to be in that role at the moment. The hat is off and then another hat is on. But Adida has asked us, with him, to do all we can, or whatever we're doing, in a professional way, from a professional disposition, of embracing the task in hand. So you're transcending a lot of resistance, possibly. He asks me to serve one another. He asks me to be happy with one another. Find happiness wherever you are. Find joy. He says, you can't really teach another anything unless you are happy, already happy. And the recipient must also be happy. Thank you for listening. Om Shanti.